Dave, after a night like that where you make the goals that Vancouver scored were directly responsible, for your mistakes, and they're fairly glaring, is it easy to coach the team that today talk to them and says, okay, here's how it was, or do you have to show them those videos to reinforce things?
It was both today. You have to recognize what you're doing, recognize situations, recognize when you can get better, so you can talk about it and you can look at it, and so we did both today.
And any lineup changes tonight?
We got a couple of bumps and bruises we're monitoring here this afternoon, so possibly one.
Next question, Jack Michaels, 630 Chud.
Dave, I do just have one question, and that's the nature of these second of a back-to-backs. Your club was very good in those scenarios a year ago, and I'm just wondering, in your experience, what's the key to having success in the second of a back-to-back as it relates to that specific situation?
Well, I think you got to make sure that your mind's in the right place coming in, and it's one of those things where you need everybody in your lineup to contribute. Everybody's got to do their job. You probably simplify a game a little bit, but in the situation we're in now, every team, the team, when you're playing the same team back to back, there's no advantage or disadvantage. So we've got some work to do on our game, and we talked about that this morning. Hopefully we can bring that to this afternoon, like you say, or tonight. I like how we responded on back-to-back games last year, but it's a new season. We have to respond well this year.
Next question, Ryan Rashog, TSN.
Dave, just wanted to ask about kind of that accountability defensively as a group. You pointed out a few mistakes that were made last night. When a group is functioning well and holding itself accountable, what's kind of the balance between a coach having to do that, but also the group and the players among themselves kind of having that accountability there?
Well, I think you have to have both. Most of the time when a player makes a mistake or does something he's not supposed to, they recognize it before anybody else. But it's a positive thing when other teammates try to help them out and steer them in the right direction, and that's what coaching's all about. So you're trying to steer people in the right direction, so when they make mistakes, you hope they don't happen. They learn from their mistakes and they move on. They're better players for it.
And in whatever meetings and such that you had today, kind of what was your sense of the attentiveness on the group, and do you expect things to tighten up tonight?
Well, you hope so. We made some mistakes last night that hurt us, and you'd like to learn from those mistakes and not have as many of them tonight. There's always mistakes in a game, but there's critical ones that come into play, and we made too many critical ones.
Next question, Rob Tychkowski, Post Media.
Hey, Coach, just looking at the schedule, I'm wondering what kind of an impact that's going to have on your ability to just have a lot of hard practices. I mean, are you going to be a lot fewer of those? Are going to be harder to teach do that?
It's you're not going to have the ability to practice much at all. So a lot of your coaching, a lot of the stuff you're trying to get across is going to be through meetings and some video. And even that, you're into small group meetings rather than big group meetings because of the protocol. So you got to get at it the best you can, but you got to make sure your players have energy because of the schedule. And there'll be a lot of behind-the-scenes work on video and making sure people are held accountable and make sure people are understanding exactly how we want to play.
Yeah, speaking of that energy, I saw Connor played almost 26 minutes yesterday. Is that going to be something that this year is going to be a bigger issue, just managing the minutes with the top guy?
He had 7 minutes of power play, which is usually he doesn't get that much in a game, but he was a couple minutes more over what I'd like to see him, or what he was at last year on even strength play. So some of that's dictated by the game. We were chasing the game, so we're using him more.
Next question, Derek Van Diest, Post Media.
Hey Dave, I was just want to ask you about, were you happy with the way Mikko played last night, and kind of what are you looking for Smitty here? Do you still need that big save out of your guys when you have some defensive breakdowns in your zone?
Yeah, you're looking for a big save all the time. He, he made some good saves for us, but like I said last night, when you give up 5, everybody's got to be a little bit accountable of that. So we made some mistakes in front of him, but you'd like to get 1 or 2 more saves. But that being said, the chances they were getting that they scored on were pretty good chances. So, it's when you give up 5, the whole team's accountable.
And as far as your power play goes, you guys threw the puck around in the zone pretty well. How did you like Tyson in the back there, kind of running things?
First look was all right. I think there's going to be, there'll be some continued adjustment going forward here. We had some good looks. We had a couple opportunities, but you'd like to see it capitalize on them. So it's a work in progress, but I think Tyson will be he gives us that right shot and a shoot first mentality a little more from up top. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
Next question, Jason Gregor, TSN 1260.
Dave, we just heard Kyle Turris admit that it feels a little bit different because, you're 2 games in, you're playing the same division team, you're all going to play each other. There's 3-point game last night in Toronto and Montreal, and that maybe the angst is a little bit higher because you're not playing there's no games outside your conference. Do you feel that as a coach? Do you have to temper that, or do you want to tap into that emotion?
Now you have to recognize where we are, and you can talk about all the other scenarios you want, but you have to live with the scenarios in front of you, so you better embrace it. And that's where we've been. We know it's a unique situation, and playing teams a lot of times, but you have to embrace that. I mean, that's part of the. If you want to be successful, you better embrace it and live with whatever comes along. Whether there's going to be bumps in the road here, whether it's COVID or injuries or whatever it may be, travel and fatigue, you got to embrace that and use it as a rallying point to make sure your team's ready to play however they have to play to win that certain game. So, everybody's in the same boat, so we might as well embrace it.
Now, I just want to clarify, this might be dumb, but when you say there might be one lineup change, is that on top of the goalie, like you are going to play Mike Smith tonight?
No, yeah, one more on top of the goaltenders.
Okay, thanks.
Last question, Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Couple of things, Dave. One of those players who looked like he took a few bumps and bruises last night was Yamamoto, sticking his nose in against much bigger people like Edler. Is that just the way he plays the game? The other question I have for you is the back-to-backs. This is different, is it not? Often you play back-to-backs in a row, but you play one team one night and it fly and play another team another night, so it's a different team. Does the back-to-back against the same team make it easier or harder?
Well, just there's no advantage or disadvantage for either team. They're both teams played at the same time the night before and didn't travel, so that part of it should be all even. Especially when you're playing we're playing in our home building, but it's with no fans. It's a generic game, so the back-to-back shouldn't affect one team more than the other. As far as Yamamoto, he played an excellent game last night. He was on the puck. He played just how we want him to play, and he's fine to go again today.